The meeting to order, 6:38 on Thursday, August 23rd. Please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and moment of silence.
Still talking.
Mr. Reba, roll call.
Mr. Bonomo?
Here.
Mrs. DeCosmo?
Here.
Mr. Fume?
Here.
Mrs. Gay?
Here.
Mr. Mahalik?
Participate through the phone this evening?
Mrs. Scarcella?
Here.
Mr. Shemansky?
Here.
Mr. Van Hoeklen?
Here.
And Mr. Zola?
Here.
I'd like to announce two executive sessions, August 6th, 2018, negotiations and purchase of property were the topics, and August 23rd, personnel and negotiation. Public announcements and recognition?
Not this evening.
Okay. Public comment directed to the board on the agenda items. Anyone? Tony?
No, it's for at the end of the meeting.
You, let's finish it. Need a motion to approve the board meeting minutes from the regular meeting, June 28th.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Shemansky.
Second.
Second.
Second by Mrs. DeCosmo on the question.
Mr. Fume,
Yes.
I didn't realize the issue that this woman wants to talk about is on the agenda. So there is a person that.
Okay, we'll finish the
Okay,
meeting
okay,
minutes, then go to that.
okay.
All right. Mr. Reba.
On approving the minutes, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Need a motion to approve the board meeting minutes.
So move.
Mr. Bonomo.
Second.
Second by Mr. Shemansky on the question. Mr. Reba.
All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
No.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, noting Mr. Vola's no vote.
Need a motion to
So move.
special board. Mr. Bonomo. A second.
Second.
Second, Mrs. DeCosmo on the question. Mr. Reba.
All in favor of approving the special board meeting minutes of August 6th, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Okay, we had someone for public comment.
Brenda Lopez.
You could stand up there.
Good afternoon. Well, evening almost. My name is Brenda, and I'm here to discuss about the transportation. We're having a lot of issues, parents concerned that a lot of our children are being denied the bus to go to school. So I would like to know why now. I got an older child that has been in the bus before, but now I have a 5 years old, and they expect her to walk all the way to school. I live all the way in Laurel Street, and she's going to High Terrace. Unfortunately, we see the weather as an issue as well as predators. We don't think of children going kindergarten or this age should be walking by themselves to school. So we just want to see.
The bus routes are.
I don't know. I saw
the
you
bus
have
routes.
here already that you have a discussion recommended about the buses.
Is this on item number 26?
Where'd you say you live?
I live in Laurel Street behind the San Gabriel Church.
Okay.
I don't know. This is my first time here, so I don't know how things work. I actually thought that you will go
Was that the
through and then I'll talk about it. Because I saw that you guys are recommending the bus for the children's, but we did have a lot of concern. Like we got our neighbors who having the same issues. I understand high schoolers or children that are more independent. It might be possible, but for the little ones, we are like, I work like 4 days a week, and the days off is easy for me to take her, but all the days off, like days I'm at work, I won't be able to either send her because I won't let her walk by herself to school, or trying to find transportation which is more expensive. We know that you guys are saying that there's not enough money for this issue, but we would like to know what's going on. Where is the money actually going for? Because as past taxpayers, we get raised every year, and we know that, you know, we just want you guys to have us into consideration because we find these very disturbing. We don't feel safe sending our kids by themselves walking to school so far.
Just to add to what you're talking about, this is the Safe Routes to School bus approval or routing system that the board had approved a few months ago, I believe, in removing those buses from the Heights Terrace area.
We're bringing them back?
I'm sorry?
You said you bring them back?
No. It was approved by the board several months ago on the Safe
15
Routes to
seconds
School.
remaining.
Well, I think the concept was approved a few years ago, and then they had to have those sidewalks put in. They had to have those crossing lights put in going across Poplar Street. I mean, this has been in the works for a few years. And if you noticed on Poplar Street, we have those flashing lights and those crosswalks.
Yes.
That
I understand.
We got money to do that.
My understanding is you guys have like a 2 miles radar to be able, like you have to leave farther than that. But we've been having kids that leave less than that, having the bus every year, past year. So I understand about the crossing guards, but what happened when they had to cross Wyoming Street or the other ones all the way to Poplar Street? So if this was passed, how come we just learning about this now? They waited all the way for us to go to the orientation to let us know that our kids are not eligible for the bus no more. A week ahead, the classes started. So we have the issue that we had to find out a way to send them to school, and even people that couldn't attend to the orientations because they were working didn't know about this either. They knew because all the parents told them and complained about it. So I understand that it might have passed a long time ago, but how we never knew about it? How is it the logic that a kid of 5 years old can walk all the way by themselves to school that is like 1.6 miles away? Who's gonna assure me that my kid is gonna be able to cross the street safe because she's not in Poplar Street? She got streets before that, and that nobody's gonna kidnap my child when she's walking there. That is our issue. It's not that, it's not that they're taking it for the big ones. It's the little ones that have no one to walk them to school. How are we gonna send them that way? They had it last year. They had it the year before. I've been living here for 6 years. What changed now that they're taking the buses out? That's what we like to know.
And I just speaking, because I haven't been here through the whole process, but just the approval piece,
Okay.
is looking at the, what the state is permitting for those safe routes to be. And again, like Mr. Szymanski has said, there were certain things put into place to
All the
allow
way in
that to
Poplar
happen.
Street, though.
There,
Poplar
we
Street is
have-
far. It's like more than 10 blocks from my house, which means it's okay because that's a very transited street. But what about the other streets? We don't have no one to check our children while they get there. Unfortunately, we got a lot of predators in this town. Who's gonna assure me that no one is gonna grab her on the way there? That is our concern. I mean, I understand that we're having budget issues, but what are we doing with the money for taxes, the money that every child gets? Like, because I know that the town gets paid for every children that goes to the school. So this is a safety issue. Who's gonna assure me? Like, believe me, a lot of children are gonna be in danger every day because it's not one or two children that are going through this. It's a lot of them. My area have tons of children that go first, kinder, and third grade. These are little children, not high schoolers or 8th grade, which can defend themselves or know better. Like if they see somebody following them, they can start screaming or whatever. My children is a love. You come to her and try to hug her, she'll give you all the hugs and kisses you want. Unfortunately, if somebody come and tell her, oh, I got a lollipop for you, she'll go. Even though I'm trying to teach her not to, she'll go. And we got a lot of children like this. So it is a very concerning issue about their safety. How are they gonna get there? Because even their parents that are single parents, single mothers, that are trying to raise their children, and then have to also look for money to try to pay the buses, because there's no way we're gonna send them walking to school. And if we don't send them, then we get pulled to court, because of course they have to be in school. Of course, we want to send them to school too because they need to learn.
Both very good points.
You know, it's
Do-
it's not that we're
if you-
trying to give you hard time.
Yeah. No, 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 no.
Because-
and I don't see it that way.
Okay.
You're not giving us a hard time.
Okay,
How about we discuss a little bit more after the meeting, if you're willing to stick around?
perfect. I will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian, I remember having,
Don't,
and everybody probably does, guards that were students, what were they called? I don't think they were crossing.
patrolman.
Safety
Safety patrol.
That would be, because we all walked to school as well, and we had older students, sixth grade or whatever, that had every 2 or 3 blocks apart, they would be that they could see each other, and they would watch the kids going to school in that. I'm just remembering that from growing up.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
I'm just wondering, Melissa, did we not notify the parents of the no buses? Like, did we not send anything out?
Is this the first year? So was that the little white?
I went to all this year. We would have a white.
And that at the classroom, they take the cards also for the people that have bus, and no longer like with ours.
Mr. Uplinger, can get together with you after?
We can.
Okay. Treasurer's report, we didn't do that, so I need a motion to accept the treasurer's
Motion.
report. Motion by Mr. Bonomo,
Second.
second by Mrs. DeCosmo. On the question, Mr. Reba.
On the treasurer's report, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Mr. Uplinger?
Okay, before we move into the agenda, there are a few items that will be removed and have been restated. So I'd like to go over those prior to us going into the agenda. So number 71 and 72 will be removed from the agenda. And not sure what numbers these are. Revised motions.
And you know, this fuck, we're still calling all this good stuff. You know,
I'll just read them. I don't know what numbers they are. There's a revised motion, recommend board appoint Virginia Balderston to the position of 6.5-hour special education paraprofessional at the Castle. Salary of $12.56 per hour as per the HAESPA agreement. That is a replacement position. Recommend board appoint Jadine Jen Domenico, so I'm terrible with names, so I apologize, to the position of 6.5-hour special education paraprofessional at Early Learning Center at a salary of $14.06 per hour as per HAESPA agreement. And that is also a replacement. There is Stacy Shea. Recommend board appoint Stacy Shea as a hearing therapist at the salary of $45,876 per the HAEA agreement. That did, I believe on the agenda it said $774, it should say
Excuse me, Brian,
$874.
are these all new items, or are you?
No,
Where did these come from?
they should already be on the agenda.
You're not calling out the numbers.
No, and I don't recall what numbers they are.
70.
I don't have them written.
Stacy Shea is 74.
74?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, Stacy Shea is 74. And that should read 45,876.
But this wasn't on the original agenda, right?
No, it's on the agenda, it's just the wrong amount.
Typo
the
on
wrong
the
one.
salary.
It's on the back.
Very
It's
good.
Last
on
Okay.
the back of our
No, I'm
agenda.
talking about the original agenda, this is not the one that was revised.
Just the
These
Yeah,
other
this-
two may be new.
This is the revised. I don't think I remember. Benny.
Yeah, that's the revised one, but they weren't on the original.
I don't see the agenda minute. Those two are new?
Yeah. Well, and this is
Okay,
just
the
handed out.
Balderston and Gedomenico are both new motions.
But they're not on at all.
No, that's correct.
Is that it?
No,
One
a
is
couple
the
others. We'd also like to have a motion to appoint Kelly Lashock as an elementary teacher for the district. Her salary would be per the HAEA agreement.
Thank you.
Bridget Caputo for maternity leave, motion for that, starting on Monday. Gary Holodick, retirement as of today. And also a motion to have the Gans building appraised.
What item are we doing these?
We'll just all add them all at the end. And I can reread them once we get there. That is all I have, sir.
Brian, Mr. Epplinger,
Yes.
that bill, Yanuzi
Oh,
bill.
yes, I'm sorry.
You know-
There is a bill to add as well. Mr. Krasansky, if you could mention that again.
Yanuzi Incorporated for the final payment on the installation of the gas-fired boiler in the amount of $17,657.
Secondary English, John Nat,
Yeah.
is that correct? And add John Nat for the secondary English position. This is what happens when it's the last meeting before school opens.
And number 68, we have to insert a name.
You know, the only problem is, as board members, we don't get to see any of this, we don't, it's here in front of us, and you know what I mean, you don't get a chance to look at it, to talk to anybody about it. Some of it we did talk about. at the
Some of it we
executive
did and
session,
some we
but-
didn't.
Yeah, and there's 3 weeks between meetings to get this stuff sorted. I mean, nothing's that important that it needs to be voted on that day, in my eyes.
Number 68, to add the name, is Dean Matrosino.
So we have to see if there's any public comment on those additions. At this time, if the public would like to comment on any of those additions, you can take this time now.
Bobby, I know
I-
that they had agendas in front of them and they had updates.
But it's not on there.
But, I mean, I don't, it's not fair to the public to have agendas without everything on it and bad business.
We have one quick presentation before we move on.
The other thing is, and let's open schools with classes not filled. I mean, we obviously can't control a lot of things that we just mentioned. So you can open up schools with kids not having teachers and buildings not having maintenance people, then that's fine. I mean, looking for issues when issues don't exist. Very simple.
Yeah, I understand. It's a few retirements, maternity leaves, and
Bobby, you
plugging some
could
in.
say that, but realistically, the last 8 or 10 agendas have been updated within the last agenda was updated an hour before the meeting started. The week before that, it was an hour or so before the meeting. So it's not just tonight that we need them as teachers. I have here at least 8 different agendas that have been updated the day of the meeting. And they shouldn't be. When we leave, at least 4 to 5 days so that we can go through them. So it's not like we're looking for something. This is a legitimate concern.
Well, and the committee meetings we had on Thursday, we had, that's why we have the committee meetings, to set up the agendas. And we have
4 people.
committees presenting items, and then at the end of the item, it's, well, there's also gonna be this, this, and this on Thursday. You know, if things are that important, you have 3 weeks to work on it in between meetings. I really think by the time the committee meetings are sorted out and what's presented at the committee meetings, that should be presented to the board for, I mean, nothing's gonna happen in 5 days and 2 of those are a weekend. You know what I mean? That's why we have the committee meetings, to approve those things. If you can't have that information ready for the committee meeting to
But
present
there
to the
are
board-
some things that do pop up in between.
But
And
it's
not everybody shows up for the committee meeting.
Yeah, but it's not that dire, obviously.
Yeah, and
If they have 3 weeks to work on it and something's gonna pop up between Friday morning and Wednesday morning when we get the agenda, that's very, very dire, the odds of that happening are very slim.
right.
I think those things could be pushed to the
I-
next
I-
month.
I've been in public education, hold on, I've been in public education 23 years. Don't tell me that's very, very slim. That's a ridiculous statement. That's a ridiculous statement.
Let's just
Let's
vote
move
on
on.
it.
Let's just, I
Let's
think,
move
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Let's move
I
on.
think, I haven't ever gotten agendas 4 or 5 days beforehand, and I've gotten them 2 or 3 maybe at the most, but 4 or 5, since I've been here, I've never gotten them that far ahead.
Let's please
Let-
move
And
on.
I
Move
don't think that they've been changed 8 times in a row though
Mi-
either, so
Mr.
let's
Fu-
move on.
Mr.
Got
Fume,
administrators trying to manage the building, trying to manage the district, got school a couple days away, and now we're sitting here saying this type of, come on.
All right,
Move
Mr.
on,
Fume,
Let's
please.
move
Mr.
on.
Fume, this woman,
Oh, sorry.
I
what,
think she wants,
I'm going to interrupt because I'm not going to take up much. If it come to you from Shawnee on Delaware, about an hour and 10 minutes. And in the year 2000, I was a classroom teacher, and my 15-year-old was playing in a $70 million school in East Stroudsburg North. He attended Notre Dame Catholic School. He's only 15 years old, in great health, and he had 3 physicals a year because he played 3 sports. No sign or indication there's that anything was wrong with Greg. So we went out to the school, and it was 23 miles away from where we lived and the closest hospital, and my son went into cardiac arrest during halftime during the game and died. There was not an AED in the building, nor in the closest, it took 30 minutes for the ambulance to get here. I called on a late afternoon, after 5 o'clock, and Mr. Uplinger took my phone call because he answered the phone. And that is really impressive, because I want you to know I've been all over the country. We've donated over 5,000 AED to school districts that say we couldn't afford them. When Greg died on a Saturday night, the cost of an AED was $3,400. We had 7 of them by Monday morning, where people said we're going to buy AEDs for the school districts, because you can't believe a 15-year-old who was very healthy could collapse and die from cardiac arrest. We got the first bill passed in the country on April 25th of 2001 that provided 2 AEDs for every school district. So if you're in the boonies, that's fine. 2 AEDs are fine. If you're in Philadelphia, it's a problem. You're in Hazleton, 2 AEDs is not going to cut it for all their schools. And we brought the cost down from $3,400 down to below $1,500. When Hazleton was looking at this, and because Mr. Uplinger, Superintendent Uplinger, we talked, I said, what happened? This is the newest cardiac science, the newest AED on the market. It's the newest one with technology, because we're not all sitting with phones that are from 2002 or 2005. No, this is the latest technology that's going to be used to help save someone in the school district, whether it's a kid or whether it's an adult or a coach or whatever. So we've donated AEDs, as I said, and I don't pay attention to buzzers, so you're going to have to spend a little bit of time more tonight, because even Boston schools that we donated to had a buzzer, and I said, don't you dare to use that buzzer on me. And so they have AEDs in their schools, because indirectly from our fund, because we were able to get that domino, get that ball rolling in and donate an AED. There are the chances of this happening, as a school teacher for 25 years, I can take all your kids out blindfolded for a fire drill. Do you know the last time that a kid or teacher or anyone died on school property from a fire was in the year 1958, because that's when Chicago had its fire where 93 people died. There was 3 kids this week that have died from cardiac arrest because there wasn't an AED present when it needed to be used. So I'm saying to you, the fact that your district has stepped forward and said, our kids are really important, we're gonna give everybody a second chance and have an AED around. These come in, they're so easy to use. You need about a 4th grade education, and you open the lid and it pops up. This is the electrode you use, and you can decide.
Stay calm. Follow these instructions. Make sure 911 is called. Mantenga la calma. Siga estas instrucciones.
So if your
Stay
coach
calm.
is English or
Follow
Spanish,
these instructions.
you will be
Make sure
comfortable
911
using
is
it.
called now.
And it's so smart that
Begin by
you
exposing patient's
cannot,
bare chest. Remove all.
you cannot, oh, sorry. You cannot shock somebody that doesn't need a shock. But you can give everybody that opportunity to be saved. So what we started in the year 2000 when Greg first died, and we're now in 2018, and I still have to say, it's not the amount of money, it's the effect that the defibrillator will have on bringing back your loved one as fast as you can. So I'm saying to the school district, I am sorry that there's so many things. I've been a teacher for 25 years. This is the most critical thing now, is you guys being heart safe. And that's why I come to you. We're able to donate from the Greg Moyer Fund an AED along with the 18 new AEDs. And because of that conversation, we saved the district, I think, almost $18,000. So you guys, thank you for what you're doing. And, you know, life is so short, and I miss my son every single day. And when I see the kids here and in this school district and what I'm doing here, I can just tell you this is an awesome thing that you're doing, and I can't thank you enough. So let the beat go on, everybody. Look for Greg Moyer, and know in Pennsylvania there are 38 states that have already approved CPR and AED education in school. Pennsylvania is not one of them, so I'm still working on that. So thank you very much. I'm sorry it took too much of your time, but I hope you don't have to use the AED, but it's here when you do it. And Mr. Oblinger, I looked at you and I thought, why did I only bring a large? These are not form-fitting, but they have got AED on the back of it, and I will make sure that you get one that fits.
Like
okay?
a triple X? Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
These are the AEDs that the district does now have.
Thank you. Mr. Epplinger?
Thank you.
Okay, on your agenda. Under curriculum and instruction, approve items 1 through 16 with one motion.
Motion by Mr. Bonomo,
Second.
second by Mrs. Scarcella on the question.
Number 8, Bobby?
Yes?
Who's gonna, is this person working the building, or will this person be working from home, or how does that work? It's for the Hazleton Area Virtual Academy mathematics instructor? How does that work?
Yeah, they don't have a period that is designated for virtual academy, but they would be able to work on that at home, but they get that stipend as having students in that program. So they would be a teacher for us in the classroom, but also a teacher in the virtual academy on the side.
Will they be a current teacher in the district, and then they do this on the side, is what you're saying?
Yeah, they do this
Yes.
on the
Okay.
side.
Yes.
And then who keeps track of that hourly thing? How does
Mrs.
that
Medic?
work? Okay.
Yeah, Michelle Medic.
And how many students approximately for
We-
$325 a student?
We have, in the program right now, we're around 50 students, I believe. And they get the 325 no matter if they have 1 or 50. I believe that's how
It says per student.
that is, yes, I'm sorry, yeah.
Thank you.
They'll get 325 per student. So they may have 5 or 6 students in that virtual academy. They'll get 325 per each student. And this has been practiced for long before I've been.
Mr. Reba?
Numbers 1 through 16, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Mr. Upling.
Page 3, under special education, ESL alternative education, approve items 17 to 21 with one motion.
Motion by Mr. Bonomo,
Second.
second by Mrs. Scarcella. On the question,
Oh, I have a question. Since it was added, number 21, the social worker, we just got that post tonight. I really haven't had a chance to look that over. But did we, was this something we discussed and agreed upon, or?
Yeah, the job, to create the job description and the position was discussed at the committee meeting last week.
And what will be the salary for this position?
Don't know if we,
I believe the position, Marie, will be based upon, the salary will be based upon the teacher's contract.
Okay, it's not that I'm against it, it's just that I didn't have enough time to look it over.
well, this is the one that was discussed. at the
It
committee.
was
Yeah.
discussed
Yeah,
at
it
the
was brought
committee
up by
meeting.
committee.
Yeah. Mr. Reba?
Numbers 17 through 21, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
I'm gonna say no to 21.
Ayes have it, noting the no vote.
okay, under English language development, ELD, approve items 22 through 24 with one motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Zolla,
Second.
second by Mrs. Cosmo. Question? Mr. Reba?
Numbers 22 through 24, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Under nutrition, item 25, recommend board approve the
So moved.
cafeteria transfers.
Motion by Mr. Zolla,
Second.
second by Mr. Bonomo on the question. Mr. Reba?
Number 25, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Under transportation, approve items 26 through 29 with one motion.
Motion by Mr. Bonomo.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Scarcella. Question? Mr. Reba?
Numbers 26 through 29, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Under security, approve items 30 through 31 with one motion.
Motion by Mr. Bonomo, second. On the question? Mr. Reba?
Numbers 30 and 31, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Student activities, athletics, and extracurricular, approve items 32 through 34 with one motion.
Motion by Mr. Bonomo.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Scarcella. Question? Mr. Reba?
Numbers 32 through 34, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Under finance, approve items 35 through 41 with one motion.
Motion by Mr. Bonomo.
Second.
Second by Mr. Szymanski.
On the question?
Question?
34, the equipment that we're getting. Is this new equipment?
Number, Vinnie?
I think it's 38. I'm sorry, 38, the fitness equipment?
No, I believe this is the equipment that is coming off lease. Am I correct, Mr. Patron?
It's already in our building?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Instead of them turning it back in, they allowed us to.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. On number 36 for the bids for like art supplies and equipment, they were due August 20th at 11 a.m., which was this Monday. So will we actually have all of this equipment that we need for the start of school?
No, those purchase orders will be going out starting tomorrow. Some of the vendors will get them here in the course of a couple weeks. Some of it actually takes into later September. Unfortunately, we can't do anything about getting them out any earlier until the budget's passed. So that's the reason why they're always ordered in, in late August like this.
Bobby, would we have to vote F? Could you explain that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Szymanski. Letter F, the RFPs did come in for the ESCO project. Provident Energy did send an email, which we are putting on board docs to give you a timeline of where we're at with that. There was 5 proposals that have come back, and they're extensive binders. So they're going to take some time over the next couple of weeks to provide spreadsheets and calculate to get apples to apples, and then they're going to meet with the administration to go over everything to make sure that all projects have been identified, and then they'd like to meet with the board in late September so we could continue moving forward with that project.
So what are we voting on? Just basically accepting the RFPs?
In letter F, basically
Yeah.
letter F is just the accept that they have been received, and again, there's no recommendation on the tally, there's no tally sheet for it at this point in time.
I have another question. So on number 40, the payment of $6,888 for work time for the preparation of the 1095C forms, Attorney Slesser, it says to be reviewed and approved by yourself.
Which number?
You already did this, Chris.
40.
Attorney Slesser did review this. We sent it back
What?
to them today.
Oh, yes.
And the changes did come back, Jesse, I believe, Jesse Barrett.
What? Oh, that's not my question though. Isn't this what BSI told us in their presentation they would be taking care of, the ACA compliant regulations and the forms, and that was all part of their fees agreement?
I don't know that.
Well, wouldn't you have looked at that before you approved
No, I
this?
looked at the agreement from works time that was presented.
Yeah, but they said that they were that there would be no extra charges in their presentation, and in their agreement with us, it should state that there's no fees for this, so we should not have to incur this $6,888.
Refer to the business office. That's correct. I don't have that agreement in front of me.
Yes, this payment in the past, we have gone through BSI in the past for this, but I believe there was a payment made to BSI for this particular part of the ACA requirement on their end. This is something that's required by the federal government and that we must do.
Oh, I know, I work in a benefits office, but the ACA compliancy is no longer in place since Obamacare was did away with. So I'm not sure why we would buy this now if we're not going to have to actually do that. And if it's already in the contract for BSI, why would we pay for this if they're supposed to be doing it?
I would have to, allow me to research it. We could remove it tonight. It doesn't have to be voted on, but I mean, they are our consultants. This is their recommendation. We compared the cost from this time, from last time, and it's in the range of what we've been paying for.
But does their contract not say that they would take care of this?
I'm sorry,
'Cause
I don't have that in my-
I've
Why
sat through
why don't we
their-
just table this one until you can research that? Do
Absolutely.
we have a motion to do that?
I'll make a motion to table.
Motion by Mr. Bonomo?
Second.
Second by Mr. Zola.
Table number 40?
40.
So we're voting on 35 to 41, tabling 40.
We need to vote on the motion to table first.
Yes. Okay, that's right. So, motion to table?
On the motion to table number 40, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay.
Ayes have it.
Now the rest. Motion 35 to 41.
So 35 to 41 excluding number 40. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No on F.
No on.
No on
36F?
36F?
36F.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Hold on.
Yep.
yeah, 36.
Yeah, 36F.
Mr. Uplinger, please.
Okay. Under superintendent's agenda, approve items
We need to-
43 through
You
46.
didn't do the bill.
We didn't do the
Oh,
bill.
I'm so sorry.
Bills.
I apologize. Under bills, number 42, page 7, under bills.
And it's including the Yanussi bill.
Yes, including the Yanussi bill that we talked about earlier.
So is that, are we gonna, is that F?
That would be letter F. Mr.
F.
Zola. Thank you.
Need a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Zola. I'll second on the question.
I have a question. I had asked via email for the invoices from the Schrader Group, so I'm just wondering if you can shed some light on, it looks like we spent over $73,000 so far, and I'm not sure that we have anything to go on or where we are at in the process. I did ask an executive session about the pools. They haven't been put out for bid yet.
So we paid them approximately 50,000 to date. Part of that is a feasibility study they're doing that we approved for in the neighborhood of 45,000. That is approximately a little over 2/3 done.
Can I
so-
just ask as we're going along, because it's 49,455 up until July, but the rest of the invoices I have are dated after that. They're dated August 1st, and so when I added those into the 49,455, it came out to 73,911.75.
I also did it, and the total was 51,000. I did that last night. So I don't know where you're getting yours, and I have all the bills that were paid also from August on, so I don't know where you're getting your amount.
Well, I added the 49,455 with all of the bills that were after that, dated August 1st, with the invoice numbers that weren't listed on here, because I looked for the invoice numbers, since I don't have these, but these are all different invoice numbers, so they're obviously different bills.
For example, the bill for first item there, 5980, I believe is on the list.
Are there some that are duplicates?
No,
No, there are no duplicates, because I went through them.
It's a different invoice number.
Right.
They're different invoices, but they're not duplicates.
so again, 45,000, we approved the feasibility study, we're paid about 32,000 of that. The pools are being done, we didn't issue a agreement with them yet to base it on a percentage, so we've been paying them on a time and materials basis. There's a separate invoice for each of the buildings with pools. They are designing the specs right now in the bid spec, and that should be out, as we discussed, in September on the pool projects.
Is that a normal amount of time since we voted on it in May?
Yeah, there's a certain amount of process that needs to take place in the planning and the staging and things of that nature prior to going out to bid, because we need to know exactly what's going to fit within those spaces. So they need to give us an idea of what will actually fit prior to putting those specs together, so yes.
I thought
It's
they
typical.
gave that to us before we voted on it.
Well, there's been some massaging, there's been some discussions with the principals of those buildings on what might work better than what they presented, so that there's some changes that took place, not major changes. Maybe we moved the administrative offices into a different location than we had classrooms in, because of the flow of the office, the new office look. For example, at Heights Terrace, it's gonna be totally different than,
So they'll go out in September, and when can we start actually moving towards getting the classrooms that we need?
right now, the pools are being drained. They're being prepared to be drained. There's certain chemicals that have to be added to the water. So once we evacuate that water, the chlorine and the other chemicals aren't pushed into any open water sources that they may go into. So
Marie,
that's
why don't we
happening
just
now.
ask him to come to a buildings and grounds meeting next month to give us an update? I think,
That's a good
and
idea.
put a lot of light on.
Can we
you know,
get
your questions.
Sure.
Good.
Okay.
All right, good. Mr.
And make
Yeah,
sure-
but-
and make sure you show up.
Go ahead, go ahead. Did somebody, you,
I'm sorry, talk about it. Why don't we take away the pools?
well, you,
Yeah, we'll have to.
we'll talk to you about that after
at
we
the end
vote
if you
on
want.
this.
Right. Mr. Riva?
Just Tony on D, I've sat with you before on them to look at the invoices. Can I do that next week again? Just come and stop in and we'll just look at the invoices? Thanks.
Okay. Go ahead.
Any other questions?
That's it.
Numbers 42A through E, and including the Anuzi bill as number, or letter F. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No on E.
No
I'm
on
a
D.
no on E. And yeah, E.
So I have a no vote on E for Mr. Bonomo, no vote on E for Mrs. K, and a no vote on D for
D,
Mr. Zoll.
Tony.
D.
Ayes have it, motion passes.
Okay, under superintendent's agenda, approve items 43 through 46 with one motion.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Bonomo,
Second.
second by Mrs. Scarcella on the question. Mr. Reba?
Numbers 43 to 46, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
On page 8, approve items 47.
Motion by Mr. Bonomo,
I'll second it.
second by Mr. Szymanski. Question? Mr. Reba?
Number 47 through 59, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Mr. Upplinger?
On page 9, approve items 60 to 72 with one motion.
60 to 70,
70.
Mr. Uplinger.
Oh, I'm sorry, 60 to 70. I even have them crossed off.
We have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Bonomo, second.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Scarcella on the question. Mr. Reba?
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
67? Is that what, are we at? That's where we're at, right?
Yes.
I don't know if that could be discussed here, or? This is a presentation being done where?
I'm sorry?
67.
Yes.
Um,
I think 66.
Okay, on mine it's 67. On the old one it was
Oh, okay.
67. I'm sorry. Okay, let me look at the new one. Yes, 66.
66.
Oh, okay. Yes, that, we talked about that last week in committee.
meetings.
We're going to have a presentation by some individuals on transgender awareness for the staff, and that'll take place tomorrow during our in-service program. We have a number of students that are going through the transition, and we want to make sure that everybody's aware of how it occurs and what the person themselves are going through, and just to bring light to that subject.
Will it cover any of the law on it as far as?
Yes, it will.
It was mentioned a couple times that some of the stuff was discussed at the meeting last week, the committee meetings. I had a colonoscopy the next day, so I was going through the procedure. I don't think you wanted me sitting at your
No.
your meeting going
No.
through that.
But what I'll be happy to, I can share the information with you, the packet of information the teachers will get. I'll be happy to send that out to you.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Reba?
Numbers 60 through number 70, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Page 10, approve items 73 through 75 with one motion.
Motion by Mr. Bonomo.
Second.
Second by Mrs. DeCosmo on the question. Mr. Reba?
Numbers 73 to 75, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Okay, now, before we conclude, just to add those additional motions that we talked about earlier, recommend board appoint Virginia Balderson to the position of 6.5-hour special education paraprofessional.
Motion by Mr. Bonomo, second by Mrs. Scarcella. Question. Mr. Reba?
On the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Recommend board appoint J. Dean Jidimenko.
Motion by Mr. Bonomo,
Second.
second by Mrs. DeCosmo on the question. Mr. Reba?
On the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Motion to grant Kelly Lashock the elementary position with the district.
Motion by Mr. Bonomo,
Second.
second by Mrs. DeCosmo on the question. Mr. Reba?
On the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Recommend John Nat for the secondary English position.
Motion by Mr. Bonomo,
Second.
second by Mrs. DeCosmo on the question. Mr. Reba?
On the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Recommend a maternity leave for Bridget Caputo.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Bonomo,
Second.
second by Mrs. Garcella on the question. Mr. Reba?
On the motion, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Recommend the retirement of Gary Holodick.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Bonomo. I'll second on the question. Mr. Reba?
On the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Motion to have an appraisal done at the
I'll
GANs
make the
building.
motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Szymanski, second by Mr. Bonomo on the question.
On the question, we've looked at this building a number of times. The board a number of times has turned away from it. It's back on the agenda again. We've spent money on it. We've had the architect look at it. It's back again. I just think it's spinning our wheels here, but thank you.
Mr. Reba?
On the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
No.
opposed?
No.
No.
Ayes have it, noting Mrs. K's no vote, Mr. Zoll, any other no votes?
Mr. Van
Out.
Holten? Okay, I believe that is it.
Can I say something? Going back to the whole agenda items and adding things last minute, I understand that the school district is a working model, and I do have a respectful opinion on Mr. Mahalik's, experience in the school district and with education. But I do truly believe that we need some kind of more structure to our agendas and how we add things, because we seem like we spin our tires in the mud, so to speak, when we throw things on top of this big plate we already have, an hour or a day leading up to the agenda items, and it only causes friction, which is not necessary. We're all here for one goal. So, I would like to make the motion that we set a freeze to adding new items to the agenda. I'm thinking at least 3 days before the Thursday meeting. That way, people have enough time to put everything out that they deem important for the committee meetings. They have a couple days after that to go over with the administration. And I think by 3 days before the meeting, we should be able to have all our tools to make a decision as a board without having to rush and add things. And that's my personal opinion, so I'd like to make that motion.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Mr. Van Holten, a second by Mr. Zola.
On the question.
Question.
I just think it's important that we be able to talk to whoever we need to question a situation. I know I've been in to see Tony and Bobby. I know I've called our solicitor a number of times just researching something prior to it happening, so that when you cast the vote, it's an educated vote, and we're doing what we should. So that's the only reason why. I don't want this to look like a reflection on the business office, because I know you guys get dumped on last minute all the time. I know it.
And this is for the hope for everyone.
Yeah,
this
and to Bobby Fume, where are you, buddy? Are you still there?
Bobby Mahalik?
Or Bobby Mahalik, I'm sorry.
I'm ready.
But I agree with you, Bobby, and I understand that in the end, there's a crunch, and certain things are acceptable. But I also worked for the district for 20 years and sat and looked at the agendas for over 20 years, and there's just a lot of changes coming late, and it doesn't give us an opportunity. So just in all fairness to everyone.
Yeah, I just want to say that, this has been happening since I've been on the board, last minute things thrown on, and I understand the board wanting to see the items first. The only fear I have is that something, at the end, something very important might come, so we'll just have to excuse that somehow, if it is necessary. Mr. Uplinger and I did have a conversation today regarding last-minute items being thrown on the board, and what did we decide?
Yeah, that we'd take a serious look at each one that was being added, yes.
And I think if something is of critical importance, we can all deem that, and you guys, you have the experience and the knowledge to make a recommendation. Hey, listen, this is super critical. This item could wait till next month.
Right.
You know what I mean? That should be very easy to distinguish.
Absolutely, and just to add to the conversation, I think this is great dialogue that we're having here, is that when I did arrive in the district, I did put out an a time limit on our administrators and staff members getting items to us for the agenda for committee meetings. And we're adhering to that as much as we can, and sometimes things pop up. Sometimes we have last-minute resignations like we've had this evening, things like that. So we do take a serious look at everything that's added to the agenda very last minute, and we try to mitigate that as much as possible, but sometimes it's just not feasible.
Okay, Mr. Riva.
We need public comment on
Oh,
this.
we need public comment. Any comment on this? Mr. Riva?
On the new motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Yeah, anything that was not on the
Anything that was not on the agenda that anyone needs to bring up?
Public?
We have a motion? I'm sorry.
No.
No, that was something that.
You had a question before? If
Sorry,
whoever had something in the audience, you could go up to the podium. Was it about other than transportation, which he's gonna talk to you about?
So, I guess that you put it for last because this passed before as well about the pool.
Yes.
We voted,
This-
let me just ask you, is this your first child in the school district, or have you been?
My first one is going high school now.
Well, we've been talking about closing those pools for over a year, and the reason why we're not closing the high school swimming pool, we're closing 4 elementary schools to make them we need more classroom space.
So it's
To
gonna
answer
be
your question.
used for classrooms or
Yes.
offices because I was
No,
listening.
they're being used for classrooms.
Okay, that's understandable.
where
I
there's-
heard for offices,
Yeah,
so I'm
classrooms
like,
that
what we need
have-
more offices for? But if it's
Classrooms that
classroom,
have too many children in, they're going to split them to make them smaller classes.
okay, understandable. Yeah, I heard offices, so I'm like, well, we need more offices.
Actually,
No.
you should explain, up at Heights Terrace though, what's happening there is, where the main office is currently located is not really security-wise the best place. So we are going to move that where the pool is.
Is, okay.
But where the offices are currently will be classrooms.
Okay, so
that's
it will
where
be
maybe
just an
confusion
exchange.
came in.
Okay, now I got it better.
Yeah.
Perfect.
The other pools will become classrooms. That's the only building that's getting a flip-flop, if you will,
Right.
of where the administrative buildings are.
Yeah, just so
Where the
most
administrative
of
offices
the only the high schools the one that's staying with the pool now.
Yes,
Cool.
that's
Okay.
correct, that's correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
I'd like to make a.
I'm sorry.
Could I just make a comment? And Kent, you were kind of involved with this newspaper article. People aren't happy. People from Drums Valley, apparently. I just want to say, I think that's people in the valley, that's a real kick to our school district, a kick in the butt or in the face. I think our school district is one of the best run school districts in the state. And we are having growing pains, but we're addressing these growing pains. And if these people think that they're going to get a better education in a different school district, I think they're terribly wrong. We're very proud of our school district. Our high school, we have kids going to Ivy League schools. And I don't know where personally, I think there's a few people in the valley that want to be able to say, that are business owners, that want to be able to say that their property is now in the Crestwood School District. But I think they're barking up the wrong tree, and I think it'll probably will never happen. But for them to even try, Crestwood doesn't even have a pre-K program. We have one of the best pre-K programs in the state. We have the STEM school. We have a career center. I could go on and on. We have probably the best security force in the state. Our administrators, our high school. I don't know where these people are getting off that they're going to be better well served in another school district, and I hope it will never happen. I'm sure it will never happen, but I think it's just wrong for them to even try. But that's their right, and good luck for them trying. So I have to say, I think we have more sports to offer them. They don't even have a swimming pool. They have no water polo. They have no swimming. Yeah, we have some problems. We have growing problems. The lady came tonight about transportations. Hopefully, we can work it out with her. But we're very proud of our school. I am anyway. And we're going to be voting on improving our heating and air conditioning systems. We are currently working on plans, which we'll be making public very shortly, on adding, besides the pools, possibly doing some other stuff to get more classroom space. So I just had to say that.
Mr. Zola, did you have something?
Yeah, I mean, Eddie, you're right. I mean, we're all proud of our schools. And I think we do provide the very best education, that we can under the circumstances that we have. But on the same token, I would like to hear from these groups. I think we should, we're in the midst of looking at renovating schools and adding schools and what to do with them. I think we should talk to them, let them voice their opinion, and let us know. Maybe it's something that we can work into if it's legitimate.
Yeah, I'd be open to sit down and listen to any group that would want to speak to us on that. I agree.
Excuse me one more time.
But
I want to go, and thank you. I do love the pre-K program. It's helping our children way much, and I really thanks for that. Since you mentioned security, by any chance, any of you know, because we were in the rotation today for the high terrace, and they were saying about the metal detectors, trying to explain to children that will be there sometimes, but sometimes they won't, if it is there to pass through it. Is it like, it's going to be like off and off, or is it going to be there all the time? Because, I mean, I go there, and as you were saying, that the office is not as secure, so it's a good point that you guys are moving it to make it secure. But I'll feel more safe if the metal detectors are there.
Our security.
Our director
All
of
the
security is here
time.
this evening.
He'd be glad to speak.
A random basis only? Okay, determine like if you guys gonna have meetings or something like that. I mean, how you guys know which one is a parent?
I think maybe we're getting into a security issue here that maybe you want to discuss with the chief.
I mean, God forgive that it happens. What is been happening, all the issues. That will help a lot. Like,
Right.
because I've been passing through the school and I noticed that they're not there. I thought it was more likely because there's no class.
Yeah,
Usually nobody goes there
Right.
out of class. But and I'm sorry, I got a lot of people here who don't speak much English, so they were giving me those concerns, and they pulled me to talk because I love talking. And that's one of another concern that they were telling me, that they were worried how.
And you're welcome to come to any meeting.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've had a lot of meetings where there's nobody in this room except the people that work here. So
You'll have me talking all night.
Well, that's why we're here.
If I could add to that point, I hosted 4 town hall meetings through the course of last school year in May.
Okay.
Very low attendance.
So you got this meeting like every month?
No, I did 4 in 1 month. So and I'm
okay.
planning on doing that again for this coming school year. But and we'll spread them out a little more. I went to different buildings. I was at the high school. I was at Valley. And just to address Mr. Szymanski's point, we also had a safety meeting here. 5 parents showed. So there's not a lot of conversation or not a lot of communication back to us what people are thinking.
I hope
when those types of things are advertised and put
That's
out there.
the
They're just
thing.
not
We,
coming.
into today, we didn't
Exactly. Yes.
know a lot of parents knew into the committee, and that you guys actually have a way for us to express our concerns. So I'll help you with that, and I'll spread the word.
And to let everybody know, and I'm sure this
Is
will be on
there,
TV too.
like
the
announcement everywhere?
Yes, I utilize our Facebook page a lot. The district
the school
Facebook
one?
page.
Okay,
Yes, I
yeah.
do that. I'm on there constantly, putting things on. I will not or cannot answer all the comments that are posted on there. So don't get angry with me. I just can't do it. There's just too many things. But I will put a ton of stuff out there relative to the district, things that we are supporting, or our challenger group of students that are going to the Little League World Series. I can't get it out. Thank you.
That's nice.
But there's a ton of information on that information or on that page. I also have my own Facebook page. I put the same information out. I have Twitter. I'm on there constantly. I'm on Instagram. So there's that seems how everybody wants to communicate is through that way rather than. then.
We're getting
then
too
call us, but-
modern. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Mr.
You do.
Uppinger,
Yes.
this has been presented to me in the public several times, so maybe we could look at this is, we do have a large Spanish-speaking population, but all
Yes.
of our meetings are in English. Everything is in English, so we should probably look at having an interpreter maybe here to interpret for the non-English speaking
That's not, that.
parents, and
You can
then
also put
maybe more
translation in the
parents would
TV if you
come in,
want, so we
or-
can-
yeah.
That's a good idea.
anything
That's
will help.
certainly something we can look at.
We could definitely look at that.
Something that I've been utilizing too on the Facebook page and on the school messenger program that we have now too is sending all of that, and Remind 101 is sending that out in Spanish as well.
Okay.
So those communications are going out in both languages.
Can we do something about those metal detectors not being there?
Oh no, they're there.
They're there.
They're there, but not
But
all the time.
No, they're there all the time.
Yeah.
They're there all the time, but.
But they're
the
not on all the
students,
time.
They're not used
Correct.
every day, to run students through. So on a random basis throughout the day and throughout the week, the security department picks X number of students in a random order. It may be every third student through the door, it may be every 10th student through the door, but they keep it random. And
But
they
if
keep
it's
it-
an parent or an adult?
yeah. So they keep it random so that it keeps people off guard. You know, I mean, if everyone's going to go through it, then they try to figure out ways of getting the weapon in, or if they want in another way. So random checks help to keep the flow going, so the children aren't standing
Not to take
outside,
too long.
and it also keeps everyone off balance as to, well, when are they going to check? You know, maybe it's today, maybe it's not.
Hopefully they just think that they're on all the time.
Exactly.
And, no.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So before we conclude, I just want to say congratulations to anyone that was hired here tonight, and also congratulations and good luck to anyone who has retired.
And one other thing, I'd invite whoever come to our football stadium tomorrow night. We have a brand new field. We have a brand new scoreboard. Scoreboard didn't cost the taxpayers a dime. It was there was a monetary donation made, and there's gonna be a great. We're the skydiver bringing in the first football tomorrow. So if you could,
trucks there too, don't
there's be food there. There's all kind of events. So it'd be great to see a great
Right.
showing tomorrow night at the football game.
Great.
What's the
Bobby,
time,
I asked for
Ed?
2 minutes
Starts
just
7:15.
to, I want to clear something up. And last week, I didn't stay for the meeting. I left after our executive session. There was a conversation that I had with Kent in reference to the positions of dean of students. And my concern and question was that I believe we had approximately 30 applicants that applied, 10 were picked. My question was, how did we pick them? What was the rubric used during the interviews in that? I wasn't really content. We had 2 veterans that one received an interview, one received an interview only after he called and questioned it. And I just, I looked at everything. The requirements were a bachelor's degree, ability to communicate, problem-solving skills. Okay, they were that went out. When I looked at the 2 vets' resumes that they sent me, actually, because I couldn't get them through the district, I got the 2 resumes, and here's one person, and I'm just going to say this because I think it's important. We have one person here with a master degree in professional studies and homeland security, a Bachelor of Science degree in administrative justice, and a minor in psychology, working with troubled youths right as we speak. And we have one of the veterans that applied that did not get an interview has a bachelor's degree as well. He's a first lieutenant. He was a first lieutenant in the Army for 15 years. Has a diverse background, including a lot of education, dealing with consulting and with students, dealing with students that are troubled, dealing with individuals that are troubled, counseling. I just don't know. I'm not sure how this happened, how we missed over all these excellent candidates. So I'm bringing it up because I hope we could do something about it. I hope there's a way of dealing with it. It has nothing to do with the people that went for the job. You know, anybody's going to apply for a job that can get a job. It has more to do with the system that we're using to make sure that we're not losing out. These are new positions. They're going to be working with our students. They're working with our administrators. There was a lot of concern by our principals and by administrators that moving from having vice principals to a dean of students was not going to be effective or was not going to work.
It is.
But if we're going to try it, and we decided to try it, then you need to have the very best qualified people in those positions. And when I look at just the 3 applications or resumes that never received interviews, it concerns me. And that's all I really wanted to say. I hope that we could do a better job at looking at, maybe give everyone an interview. If they make the cut, if they have what we're looking for, what we put in the paper as these are our qualifications, if they have them, let's interview them. Let's talk to them.
Well,
Thank you for the time.
We need to hire, the best of our ability, the best qualified people in every position we hire. I think we have to make that effort.
That has to be a priority also.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Bonomo.
If I could just add one thing to that, and I think what needs to be discussed again, you know, when we originally discussed having the dean, which I supported because I worked in a similar model, I've never anticipated or expected that the deans would actually be in an administrative role. And that's essentially what they are. I mean, there's the principal and it's the dean. I favor a dean with a vice principal, principal, vice principal, a dean. And even that position should be coming from the teaching ranks. I mean, all the qualifications in the world, if it's not in school law, if it's not in, you know, federal law, IDEA, chapter 15, chapter 16, if you're not aware of these, there is no way these people are really going to be able to provide support to the principal. Because they can't make one decision. Because one ill-fated decision could cost us hundreds and thousands of dollars. So when you talk about suspending students, you need to know so much about the suspension process. You need to know about Safe Schools Act. You need to know about special education. I don't understand how we're putting these people in these positions, to be honest. The dean of students should be coming from the classroom. They should be people that are in a program, a college program, to be getting their administrative certificates, or maybe they even have their administrative certificates, and it's a feeder program to our vice principals. But this, I mean, it's unfair to those candidates. It's unfair to the schools. So again, all the qualifications in the world, they're wonderful, and I'm not taking anything away, especially for those people, the men and women who have you know, gone out there and protected our freedom. But that isn't going to qualify you to run a building. The only thing that's going to qualify you to run a building is by actually being on the ground, starting as a teacher, becoming a assistant or something of that nature. These deans, this was not the intention, or at least it wasn't my intention. And we can't even, because the salary is $40,000 or whatever it is, we don't even allow our teachers to get an opportunity to apply for this position. So again, we've got deans now in buildings by themselves. If the principal is out, we're going to the dean. I have no idea how a dean is going to answer a question about data, how a dean is going to answer a question about discipline of a student with special needs, how to any of those hundreds of things that come up every day. So that's my point. That's my piece, and you know, maybe that could be a discussion in the future.
And it probably should be, Bobby. But really and realistically, and I don't think anyone could argue with the point, if you have a person that does have a background in counseling, has a background, one of these people, one of these individuals has a background in dealing with special education students, actually taught special education students. So that goes right into what you're saying. Yes, wouldn't you want a person that had a background in special education or counseling or discipline? You know, I mean, I agree with you. You know, I think there's probably room, but at the time, if you remember, with our budget being $6 million behind or whatever, we were looking for ways to be able to save money for the taxpayers. So,
I'm sorry, Mr. Mahalik, you said something that I wasn't aware of. So and being an educator or superintendent, you probably know the answer, but can you leave someone with no educational background in a building alone? I don't think I was aware that that happened.
Yeah, I mean, I can barely hear you, Marie, but.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm just saying, if you've got a principal and a dean, and the principal, I mean, let's face it, the principal could get sick, a family member could get sick, the principal goes out, that essentially leaves the dean in that building. I mean, we don't have substitutes for administrators. I just think that's a pretty difficult position to put that dean in.
Well, they won't be
So,
though, because
can-
we had agreed that when these were discussed, the superintendent or Dr. Patty or someone in that level would substitute, would fill in for them.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Bob, we talked about, because that was a
Okay,
concern.
no, I'm not disagreeing with you. No, I'm not disagreeing with that at all. No, I said, okay, I mean, that would make me feel better. I know that's gonna be a huge burden on those people, but I mean, that would make me feel better, because I just think it would be such a difficult position for those individuals to be in.
You're right,
And
bud.
again,
Right,
Oh, so Mr.
right.
Uplinger, they're not alone in the schools?
They're not.
they're not.
No.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn, a second?
Second.
Second. Mr. Zola,